Corner. Coach, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us what sports you coach here at university?
I'm Coach Sam Story. I'm the girls' varsity basketball coach, and I also help out with the football team.
All right, and how long have you been coaching both of those sports here at university?
5 years for basketball, and I coached JV football on the defensive side for 4 years. This past season, I didn't coach. I took a more of an administrative type role. I handled the sideline stuff and the social media pages, and I didn't actually coach.
Okay, all right, and let's see, and including all of your time coaching, because I know that you've coached at other schools. How many total years have you coached?
I took a couple of years off here and there, but I first started coaching in 1998.
Okay, all right. And um, what other sports? I know that you've coached a couple other sports, and I had forgotten about one of them till the other night during
Right.
one of the Instagram things. What other sports have you coached other than basketball and
Um,
football?
well, I grew up where I grew up. They have middle school sports, so 5 through 8th
Right.
grade. So that's where I actually got my coaching career started. I coached 8th grade baseball, cross country, track, um, coached soccer one year. I helped one of my buddies out with his soccer team, had no clue what I was doing. He just said, help me with the sidelines, I'll take care of the rest of it. And then I've done flag football,
Okay. Did you say softball?
softball. Yep.
Okay,
I've
I
done
wasn't
softball.
sure.
I've done softball as well. So I've done a little bit of
Okay.
everything.
Right, right. You're a what's it called? A Swiss Army knife, so to speak, of
Jack of
coaches.
all trades, master of none.
There you go. Um, and where did you grow up?
I grew up in a small community in Southern Illinois, outside of Mount Vernon, Illinois. My hometown has 400 people in it.
400 people, so a little bit different than here in the Orange
Just,
City area.
just a little bit. Like I said, big farm community. So where I went to school, they call them grade schools. They don't call them junior highs or middle schools. K through 8's all in one building.
Okay.
My situation was a little different because I went to a combination school. So the town Bellerive, where I grew up, that school had K through 4. And then I had to go 3 miles down the road to go 5 through 8. And then I had to go 15 miles to get to high school.
Oh, all right. Huh. And but before high school, what sports did you do before high school as a little kid?
In middle school, I ran track, cross country, played baseball and basketball.
Okay. And then once you got to high school, what sports did you end up doing there?
Basketball, cross country, and track.
Okay. Um, and then after high school, were there sports after high school?
Yeah, it took me a little longer to get there because I took the unconventional route to college. I went to the military right out of high school.
Right.
So when I started my college career, all my high school friends were actually graduating college. Um, Coming back off of active duty, I didn't want to get into a big university. So I just went to our local community college for 2 years, didn't play any sports there. Was going to transfer to University of Kentucky, had my acceptance letter. I was all ready to go to Kentucky. I was actually going to try to go as a walk-on their basketball team. My mom got sick, had to have a major heart surgery. I didn't want to be that far from home. So I chose to go to a community, not a community college, a Christian college in Southern Illinois. I was going to play basketball. Second day of practice, my left knee went one way and I went the other.
Uh,
So that ended my basketball career as far as playing at the collegiate level. But I ended up playing 2 years of college baseball there. So
okay.
it was kind of odd. I went from playing basketball to playing baseball.
Okay. All right. I wasn't aware of that, honestly.
Yeah,
Learning things.
I played 2 years of college baseball. So I just went as a walk on. I'm like, hey, coach is like, yeah, you're a little rough around the edges. I'm like, I haven't played since Little League, but I wonder why. But other than that, it was a great experience playing, and that was at Greenville College. It's a small Division III school.
Okay. And as as an athlete, are there any memories that stick out in your head that you will go to your grave, so to speak, remembering, whether good or bad?
Right. Yeah, playing sports all through middle school, like I was able to. My eighth grade year, I broke our school rebounding record. I did it during the state tournament. We did lose the Sweet 16 game that we're playing in, but the good side at the end of I ended up having the career rebounding record set at my school. And then a little side note on that, I was able to be in the stands 29 years later to watch my good friend Michelle Pilson's son actually break my record. So
I remember reading about that on social media.
yeah, it was kind of cool to be able to be in attendance when you see a record fall, and it falls to one of my good friend's sons. So that was kind of a neat thing.
Right.
And then right before I started high school, I was invited to play on a basketball team. It was kind of like a Olympic style format. It's called the Prairie State Games. Our team won the silver medal in Southern Illinois in that.
Okay.
My main one in high school, my freshman basketball team, we went 19-1. The only game we lost, kids shot it at the buzzer, and it went in. One referee counted it. The other referee waved it off. After about a 5-minute discussion, they decided to count the basket. That was the only game my freshman team lost. And then when I got to the college level, when I was at Greenville, I get to play in 2 Christian College World Series.
Oh, wow.
So
that's not bad.
My senior year, we finished 5th in the nation.
That's not bad for someone who was rough around the edges,
right?
According to the coaches, yeah, yeah. And how I realize this is kind of off of not going by the questions here,
right.
But you went into the military out of high school.
Yes, sir.
Do you feel that playing sports and growing up playing sports and dealing with all the different coaches and all the expectations of athletics, do you feel that helped prepare you for the military?
Oh, absolutely, because you have to worry about things you can't control and how to handle them.
Right.
It teaches you the discipline, because obviously in the military you have to have that, especially during basic training. So yeah, if I didn't play sports, I don't think I would have been as prepared for the military. The military is just like anything else. It's a game. I know a lot of people probably don't realize that, but once you learn how to play the game, it's not that bad. But yes, definitely playing sports helped me prepare for the military. Absolutely.
And if I'm not mistaken, didn't you stay active in the military and as a reserve or something like that?
Yeah, I did. After I got off active duty in 1997, I took a year off and like whatever. And then I realized, wait a minute, let's try this reserve thing. Let's see how that works. Right. Apparently it worked because I was in the reserve for 17 years. So okay. I retired from the Navy in 2015 with 20 years of service.
Okay. And looking back on it now, I'm guessing you're glad you did, and you would definitely recommend that to any and everyone.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is, the only reason I got off active duty in the first place was when President Clinton thought our Navy was too big.
Right.
So he wanted to downsize it. And how do you downsize the military? Don't promote people.
Okay.
So I took my E4 exam twice. Both times they only promoted like 4% of us. So I was like, yeah, I'm done. Let me get out, go to college, and start my life after military. Well, after active duty military. So that's what I did.
Right. All right. Okay. Well, as you know, I'm a big supporter of the military, and I thank you for your service, and I think everyone. I mean, just nowadays, I don't think we give enough support to our military folks, and I wish we could do more for them as a community, even as a small community. When I say that, I mean that as University High School, as Orange City, as Deltona, as DeBer, as everything. And as a
Right.
country, I wish we could do more for them. It's just, especially when you hear about the former military folks that are on the streets and homeless, and
Right.
just the ones that are struggling, man. That's just that tears me up. So I wish there was more we could do for them, but anyhow, I could definitely get sidetracked on that for a while. As a coach, are there any memories that really stick out in your head that you think you'll take to your grave, again, as whether it's one of those negative learning moments, oh wow, I'll never forget that because I learned something there, as a really high moment where,
Right.
wow, that was a great accomplishment.
Well, there's a couple. Obviously, I have more memories as an assistant coach than I do as a head coach because most of my coaching career has been on the assistant side. But my first year, 1998, we got fourth in state in junior high basketball in Illinois for the Southern Illinois. And then that spring, we got fourth in state in track. So my first year coaching, I go to 2 state competitions and we get a trophy.
Okay.
You can't really, it's a great way to start your coaching career.
Yeah, no doubt.
But then when I was at DeLand, obviously, Coach Roberts, that's the other thing is I was on the coaching staff and Coach Justin Roberts was at DeLand High School.
As an athlete,
As an
obviously.
athlete,
Right.
I was there his junior and senior year. One thing I will remember, Justin probably remembers this too, is we was playing Mandarin. If we lose, our playoff hopes are done.
Right.
Justin throws a pick that should have ended the game, but Mandarin gets a penalty for late hit on the quarterback.
Okay.
The coach goes nuts, and he gets a penalty.
And for the people that don't know, Justin Roberts was the quarterback.
Right. And so we end up keeping possession of the ball. We scored, onside kick, recovered it, scored again, and won the game by 1. So when it was all said and done, we scored 15 points in a matter of like 22 seconds.
Wow, that's awesome.
And then, of course, being on the staff at DeLand, even though we lost, playing in the state championship game in 2009.
Okay.
Here at Orange City or University, obviously, I was on the sideline and an assistant. I know Coach Roberts talked about it and Coach Gales talked about it when we did clinch the playoff spot there at Lake Mary. That was a fun time to be on the sideline. And then as a head coach with the girls basketball, just watching the program grow. Like this past year, when we won double digits for the first time in school history, when we beat the other university out of Orlando, just seeing the expression of happiness and joy that was on the girls' faces when they accomplished that.
Right. Going back to your time at DeLand, because kind of combining that with clinching the playoff spot here at University, not many people can say that they have had the opportunity to be on coaching staffs where they have coached 2 legitimate stud athletes like you. Because I'm guessing that Leslie was at DeLand.
I was there. Yes, I was there when Mike Gilsley was there.
And then Lingard here at University. That's, obviously you weren't part of the genetic pool for either one of them, but you were part of the coaching staff for both of those athletes.
Right.
That is phenomenal. And again, I don't know how many people can say that unless maybe you've been on the coaching staff at Apopka for the last 20 years. That's phenomenal.
Well, that definitely was fun. I just tell people I was on the staff. I didn't really technically coach either one of them because I was on the JV staff. But just being around those type of athletes was fun to watch.
Right, and I know that I know Gillespie. I had him in middle school,
Right.
and so I knew him as an athlete, as a student, and then I knew Lorenzo, as a student in high school, and got to see him at practice and stuff. I know how hard both of them worked, um, and yes, they have both have great natural God-given talent, but that isn't that isn't where it ended for them, which I don't think a lot of people realize that with that type of athlete. Can you speak to a little bit, since you have seen both of those two at practice? Can you speak to a little bit as to the work ethic involved with both of those kids, since you have had the opportunity to be on coaching staffs with them, on how hard that top tier athlete does have to work in order to get the notoriety that they
Right.
get. I mean,
Yeah, absolutely. Mike, yeah, they call him Mikey. Him
yeah,
and Lowe, him and both. I mean, not only were they great athletes, they work hard. They never take a play off. Um, Even if they're running late because of car trouble into a workout, they come in. They don't shortcut their workout. They get their workout done. They're all business. The other good thing about it, both of them were very humble. Both of them obviously were very highly recruited in high school to go to whatever college they wanted to, and neither one of them walked around like they were bigger than everybody else. They were
right.
part of the team, and they made sure they gave credit to the coaches and their teammates for their success, which was awesome to see.
No doubt. Like you said, and humble. And I think in today's society, I don't think we see that enough in that caliber athlete. I mean, and that speaks a lot to their coaches and their family,
Right.
But yeah, I think sometimes that is missed in today's society. Just for those people, that I know, that most people that will watch this know who Lorenzo is. I know that some people will know who Mikey is. But again, that, like you said, they both had the opportunity to go and play football at any college they wanted to. So I just wanted you to speak on that for a minute, since you got a chance to be part of
Absolutely.
both coaching
It
staffs.
was fun.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Just, I mean, number one play, give the ball to Lorenzo. you know.
And I'll never, speaking of low, I'll never forget at the Lake Mary game where he hurdled the kid that was standing almost straight up.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
I
that's something just to see that is like, wow.
yeah, just exactly. Wow. Yeah. Um, and I remember his freshman year, he went out for basketball. And I remember talking to the basketball coach. He ended up not playing basketball that year because I think he fell during practice or something, and he didn't re-break his collarbone, but he injured himself, and they got a little bit nervous about it, so they just said, "Okay, I'm not going to play."
Right.
But and I think he was maybe out for, I don't know, 4 or 5 days worth of practice, and just hearing the coach talk about just his sheer athleticism. And
Right.
heck, even when he went to Deltona Middle School and played on their middle school basketball team, I went to the middle school championships that was held over at Mainland High School the year he was an eighth grader. And I had heard the kid's name, and I knew that he was coming to our high school, and I just happened to be there, and I didn't necessarily connect the dots
Right.
yet that that was him. But I just remember seeing this freak of an athlete out on the basketball court, just thinking, wow, that kid's not necessarily a basketball,
Right.
player. He's just a phenomenal athlete. And then once I started asking a couple people who that was, and they told me, and then I got back to our high school, and
Right.
then I started connecting dots. I was like, okay, this makes sense. And honestly, I can't remember if they won or not, but just seeing what a phenomenal athlete he is and seeing how hard he worked on top of it, yeah. So I guess the reason I'm asking that and bringing that up is to any kids that happen to see this or any parents of those kids that happen to see this, just because you're a gifted,
Oh,
athlete
absolutely.
doesn't mean that you don't have to work hard. You actually have to work even harder and
Exactly.
stay humble,
Exactly.
just to get those gifts. Um, now, one thing that I know that you're doing this coming year, and again, this is not on the list of questions. This coming year, with the schedule that we've had some conversations about, is you're going to step the schedule up a little bit. Make the
Right.
competition a little bit tougher. Um, can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, it's important even though you lose games. I think it's important for the kids to play tougher competition because they can say, well, we got beat by like a Seminole or a Lake Mary. However, if that's the type of program we want, they get to see that firsthand. How hard do those programs work? You know, it's easy to go win games when you're supposed to win them, win them
Right.
by a lot. But it's and also it determines on how will the kids not only remember, but how will they react when the game doesn't go as well as they thought it should. And you can always go back on games. So sometimes I believe as a coach, you can actually learn more from a loss than you can from a win.
Right, right. No doubt. And also with stepping the schedule up, the kids, my opinion anyway is the kids start to develop a little bit different of a mentality,
Right.
to what the norm is. So we'll just use a Seminole, for
Right.
instance, because I know that they are typically a pretty dang good team. Um, and whatever our normal is for Seminole, next thing you know, we are now beating Seminole by 1 or 2
Absolutely.
points, and that now becomes the new norm.
Right.
And so therefore our girls expect that. And so it has to do with expectations, and the girls start to believe in themselves a little bit more. But I'm looking forward to the schedule stepping up a little bit more. Just heck, like you said, you're only as good as your competition. So
Absolutely.
I'm looking forward to it. I believe we have a few more home games this year than we did this past year.
Yes. We'll do that
Um,
because usually there in basketball, you alternate
right, right,
sites. So I
right.
think we only had like 7 home games last year.
Yeah, we didn't have many. And like you say, that's just the way it is.
Right.
Well, we're really getting off topic here. So, yeah. Um, what is one thing you hope your athletes get from a coach story, coach team?
One thing, they'll always get the truth. I always tell them I'm never going to lie to you because lying to you
Right,
is not really going to help you. Also, I want them to know that I genuinely care about them, not only off the court, but on the court. If you have troubles with any academics, let me know. I'll find you a tutor. We'll get your help. And then the other thing is don't get too high on the highs and don't get too lows on the lows. Just have a maintain a steady diet of sports and curriculars, in the classroom, family life. Family is important to me, so I make sure I tell the girls family's number one. We're family. If you got to take care of family stuff, let me know.
right,
Don't be afraid to come to me if you have issues. We'll work through them. So just let them know that they're going to get the truth from Coach Story, and he's definitely going to care about them.
right, right. Um, and you teach at the middle school during the day,
Right.
and then come over and coach at the high school. So, what's the best part about working at university?
I think I heard a couple of coaches earlier hit on this, but when athletes from other sports come and support the other sports, so when you have the basketball players showing up at the baseball games, or you got the basketball girls going to the soccer games, stuff like that. Just seeing the athletes interact with each other, and then coaches being able to work with great coaches. Anytime I've had to work with another coach to share an athlete, it's been a smooth transition. So that would probably be the two biggest things, the kids itself, and then working with great coaches.
Right. And to your athletes and parents and community and whoever might be watching this, what would you like to say to them in this unique time?
Just stay strong, stay safe. We'll get through it. Our country's had a history of going through some bad times, and we've came out on top every single time. Enjoy your family time. Connect with those that maybe you don't get to connect with them much, and just hang in there because we'll get through it.
And here's a question. I know that you've watched probably all of the videos, so you've had a little more time to prepare than some
Right.
others. So this might not be as much of a shock. But if you could have dinner with any 4 people, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
Number one, number one would be my mom. She unexpectedly passed away last year. So just missing able to call her on the phone, that would be the thing. I know this will shock a lot of people. President Bush, the W, because being in the military during 9/11, not knowing what our future of our country was, I thought he did a great job of handling the situation, and we came out on top as best we could. Of course, Michael Jordan. I mean, greatest basketball player of all times.
Right.
Just to pick his brain. And then my fourth would be Coach Pat Summitt from the Tennessee Lady Vols.
Right, Tennessee, right.
Because she's an icon when it comes to women's basketball, and basketball period.
Yeah.
But when she came up, she was like one of the only female athletes. And so she had to go through that trend of competing with all the men. And I think she did pretty well with it.
Yes, she did. I can't remember how many championships she got, but there's a lot of them.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, Pat Summitt. I hadn't heard that name in a while, but yeah, she's definitely at the top of any sport, any list, any coach, male, female. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Well, Coach, you got anything else that we haven't touched on?
Nope. Just everybody hanging in. Like I said, we've went through trouble before as a country, and we've came out on top every single time. So just hang in there, and we'll get through this.
No doubt. Well, Coach, thank you for your time, and we'll be talking to you later.
All right. Thanks, Coach.